to speak. So go ahead, Pat.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Continuation Nation webinar. This is our agenda. I'm kind of going to go over a little bit, but as I'm going over it, please don't forget the intro survey. It's very important for us to have all of these questions answered so that we can better help our community. We're going to start off with what is college and how does it work? We're going to move into counter narrative stories, followed by a cap or no cap, spill the tea on college. At 5:15, we're going to do a CC to UC resource and programs. And at 5:30, we're going to do unity and community, which is breakout rooms with UCLA students. But again, please don't forget to do the survey.
And it's right there. Oh, sorry, I spelled that wrong. Intro survey. Intro survey is right there in the chat. If you have not filled out the intro survey yet, please fill that out. That's very important for us to know who's coming to our event, what resources we need to provide. Okay, so if you have not registered for this event, it's like a Google form, right? Please fill that out right now. Thank you so much.
I don't know how to do this. Sorry.
We'll get in communication with you right now, okay? And we'll help you out through chat.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Paola. I'm so happy to be here with you all today. It's my pleasure to introduce to you all the team that helped put all this together. I can go first since I'm already presenting. My name is Paola Benitez. Currently, I am a peer advisor at UCLA. I work with Triple CP, who is in partnership with this event. And I'm really happy to be here with you all. This is my second year as a transfer student. I transferred from Mount San Antonio College, and I'm going to pass the mic to Alejandro.
My name is Alejandro. I just graduated from UCLA, and I'm not working full time, but I'm still putting on these events because I want to make sure continuation students move forward. And I graduated from Santana Continuation in the city of La Puente. Let's go. And next, I'm going to introduce Guadalupe, who doesn't have her picture up here, but she's right here with us to introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Guadalupe Baltazar. I am a Mount SAC student, a former Valley View High School student. My pronouns is she, her. This is my first year at Mount SAC and my first semester as well.
Perfect. And next we have Yadira, who isn't here with us, right? But she's been supporting us with our event because she has class during this time, but she's present and she was very involved in this committee, and that's her right there. Yeah. And Pat.
Hi everybody, my name is Patrocinio Cruz. I am currently a senior at UCLA, and I transferred from Los Angeles Valley College. Nice to meet everybody.
Next slide, yeah.
So we just have real quick questions for you guys. Please respond in the chat. But why do you want to go to college, or why don't you want to go to college? So what are some things you guys are looking forward to, or what are some things that are like stressing you out about it? So please just in the chat, let us know.
And there's no wrong answers, please. These are real questions, right? Sometimes many of us don't want to go to college. Maybe if you're here right now, you might be sitting here and be like, well, I'm just kind of forced to be here, or some of you want to be here, right? Or some of y'all may be like, wow, my mom told me, or my counselor, my teacher told me I can't go to college, right? Like, what are those reasons that you do or don't want to go to college? Let's see, someone put.
For me, no apply this question because I got my AA degree last June this year.
Okay. Congratulations. Congratulations on
my college is already.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's good. I'm glad you got that degree. Do you want to go up and get a bachelor's or anything like that?
Yeah, I want to apply for a university.
Okay. All right. Let's make that happen. And we'll share about resources like that right now. Okay. Thank you so much, Martha. Someone else says right here, I want to go to college to open up my options and make my family proud. Most definitely. That's powerful. That's a powerful testimony. Another one says, I want to learn psychology. I also have one that says, don't know what career I want to pursue yet, but I want to figure it out first. And then I'm so happy to be here with all of y'all. Thank you so much, Sharon. And Valerie says, I want to study horticulture. Jennifer says, I don't know if I want to go to college yet. And then Jessica says, some of us high school students don't see themselves going to college because they don't see themselves as academics. Okay, that's a good question too. Let's go. Jessica has a very, very, very good point, and we're going to talk about it right now. So let's go to the next slide. So go ahead, fam. So sometimes there's stereotypes of what you can study, right? Some people maybe get stuck and say, well, you know, what are the stereotypes when you think right now of going to college? What are the majors that you normally think of? Or when people go to college, what do they major in? What's like the stereotypes of it? Can someone put them in the chat? You know, you go to college to become to work in this, to work in, you know, to become a doctor. Yes, Paola. Yes, yes, yes.
A lawyer.
A lawyer. What else? A teacher, an engineer, kinesiology. Yes, yes, yes. A scientist.
Computer science.
What? Oh, computer science, Marta. Yes, correct. A consultant, a designer. Wow, y'all are on it today. Y'all are on it, most definitely. Yes, yes, yes. You are all hitting a nutritionist, a dental hygienist. Wow, y'all are going hard. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Willie, if you could.
Yeah. So there are a lot of options for you to actually go study. So there's kinesiology, which is the study of body movements, ethnic studies, dance, music production, game design, environmental studies, gender studies, just a whole bunch. There's just a whole array of areas that you can go and study. And especially for you fools who are like super into sports, kinesiology might be the way for you to go. You know what I mean? I have a lot of homies back at home, boxing team. We all went to kinesiology. I didn't. I fell in love with history, but just saying that there's so many options for everybody. You'll always find your little niche for you to go into.
Most definitely. Next slide. Financial aid. So many of you may, for the first time, maybe heard about, you know, you can go to school for about anything, right? You heard kinesiology, you know, you heard dental hygienist, consultant, a businessman, you know, someone that's a teacher, all these different things. Well, maybe some of you have the questions, okay, well, I might want to go to college, but I don't know how to go to college, or I've heard that it costs a lot of money. So let's talk about financial aid. So financial aid is a big word that basically just means money, help, or help with money, right? Financial means money. Aid means help, like Band-Aid, right? So did y'all know y'all can get paid to go to school? How many of you knew that? Raise your hand if you knew that when you go to college, you get paid to go to school. Yeah, people pay. Also, they put money out of their own pocket. But when you go to college, you get paid. How many of you right now in high school are getting paid to go to class? None of you, right? None of you. No one gets paid to go to high school. I don't know, unless your parents like bribe you, right? But right now, what we're talking about is financial aid is they pay you, right? So let's get to it. So if you go to the next slide. All right. So I like to describe it like this. A lot of people are like, wait, what? What did you say? I think in community college, or when you go to college, being broke finally pays off. I'm gonna let y'all know, I grew up, you know, literally living in a room by myself, with my mom, you know, because we lost our houses and everything like that. And just my single parent house, right? Household and all that. When I finally got to college, they gave me a lot of money in financial aid because I was broke, because I was poor, right? So for all my students that are, you know, in the bottoms right here, just know that when you finally get to school, that's when they're gonna start paying you. And these are the different types of financial aid, all right? The first type are grants. Grants come in something called like the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, or FAFSA, right? Which just opened up in October 1st. So if you haven't submitted your FAFSA yet, make sure to start working on that. So FAFSA, that's for US citizens, right? They'll fill that out, and permanent residents. DREAM Act is for undocumented students, or students that weren't born in the United States necessarily, right? So the DREAM Act is, you know, like you qualify for in-state tuition. like basically cash money from California, right? That they'll give you money like that for your books, for your cars, whatever it may be, right? AB 540 is a type of bill that helps undocumented students or students that weren't born here, right? That weren't, or people that weren't born here, qualify for in-state tuition. That means instead of paying, you know, money, paying out-of-state tuition, which sometimes costs like, you know, 1,000 more or a couple thousand more, they pay the same as a California resident, right? Or someone that was born in the United States. So that's AB 540. So those are two examples of how undocumented students, undocumented peoples can go into college, right? Through the DREAM Act and AB 540, okay? I have a question from Vanessa. I'm sorry, I see Vanessa's hand up.
Oh, I just, I was agreeing with you that I knew that we got paid.
Let's go. You got that knowledge. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Yeah. See, we got to get paid out here. All right. So, so the next thing is waivers. Waivers just basically like, if you owe $500, you just give it like that waiver. That waiver basically just erases that money, right? Or the government pays for it. So it's like a form that someone, you know, just takes over with that. All right. The next type of aid is scholarships. Scholarships is money that you apply for aside from your grants, right? From FAFSA, DREAM Act, from the waivers. This is money that comes basically like, you know, it could be scholarships for anything. You know, there's scholarships for people that have blue eyes, for people that walk right with their left hand, for people that went to La Puente High School, for people that, you know, are involved in certain clubs and sports and stuff like that, right? These are all really, really unique ways that people get scholarships. So, I'm sorry, I'm gonna mute some people just because I hear people's mic on. There we go. Sorry about that, y'all. Scholarships, right? Loans is when you have to pay the money back. However, the three types that I just mentioned, right? Grants, waivers, scholarships, and work study, right? Work study, that is money that you don't have to pay back, right? It's money that they give you for free or you work, right? The work study is basically get a job on campus or in the community, right? And instead of them giving you money, they give you money towards your tuition. Scholarships is the only type of financial aid that you're supposed to pay back. Loans are the only type. If you play your cards right and you have good people right around you, you submit scholarships, you will graduate without debt. Yes, I said that, y'all. I have friends, you know, that graduated without debt. I graduated without debt, right? Because I got scholarships, grants, all these different type of things, work study. So, you know, that's the way to finesse the game, right? So let's click the next slide. And there's a lot of good stuff in the chat as well. Go ahead, Paula.
Thank you, Alejandro. I'm a review for good luck, so I don't end up with student debt either when I graduate, but it looks like I'm not. So it's looking good right now. So I'm going to go into building a positive community. So even besides like getting money to go to school and going to college, you also get to make a community. For example, I started out at Mount SAC and it was a community college like 30 minutes from where I live. So no one from my high school was attending that community college, but when I graduated from Mount SAC, I left with the whole community and a second family, and we can get more into that in the next slide. So finding your community, I'm going to start off with the first point. So be around people who also want to be successful. And this is not to say that people back home don't want to be successful. You know, sometimes people don't have that opportunity, but when you do have that opportunity, it's great to be around people who, just like you, come from the same communities maybe, and, you know, are trying to transfer, are trying to make it to like the bachelor's degree or trying to finish your AA at community college, and forming those like study groups, and they kind of become like friends when you're just trying to study, but at the end of the study session, like y'all feel like you've known each other for a while. And second to that, we have no sharks, no haters, toxicos. You know, sometimes they will be there, but most of the time people are like want to see you succeed as well. Everybody's sharing resources. Thankfully, I've met like a great community, and a lot of them are here today. For example, I met Alejandro and Pedro at community college, and like they're people who I still keep in contact today. And when I ever want to apply for like scholarships or different opportunities, like Alejandro's always the first to be like, oh, let me like mentor you. And that's where we're going to the third one, femtors, mentors / advisors. So, you know, just like how most of us start out, like we don't have people usually in our family who went to college. But then when we do get a community college, there are people who were like that, like us. For example, I have the privilege of working for the bridge program at my community college. And my supervisors, there were people like me who, you know, started out first generation, so nobody in their family went to college. But now that they made it and they got their degree, like they want to pass on that knowledge. And so they kind of take me on like a mentee, like a younger sister, and they try to help me out all the way. And thankfully, there's still people like I keep in contact with and who are always like rooting for me in my corner. And for number 4, we have networks of people that can connect you with different job opportunities and resources. And this is really big because something that you'll learn is that even when you have your degree, sometimes you won't have job opportunities unless you have, you know, those palancas or resources and those connections that can be made. And definitely here you meet people from like all over the place. And then at your community college, maybe you go to UCLA, but somebody goes to Santa Barbara and somebody else goes to NYU maybe. And then you have people from like all over the state who can help you with different opportunities. And number 5, so this is my favorite. So second home, chosen family. I know some of us sometimes come from homes that aren't stable and maybe it's not like the safest place to be at home. And so there was this place called Bridge and it was like an office and I basically spent like all day there. I never wanted to go home. And it basically became my second home, my second family at community college. And that's what made it really special. And I don't think that's what people tell you when they're telling you about college, that yeah, you're gonna learn a lot in your classes, but also you're gonna learn a lot by the people around you, by your classmates, by the things you get involved in outside of the classroom. So it's a really great community within the classroom, but also outside because of that chosen family. And we can go on to the next slide.
So now I'm gonna talk to you about studying abroad, right? You know, Paola talked to you about, you know, finding community. Let's talk about your global community, right? Because when you become a college student, you don't just go to learn dentistry or to learn business. You become a student of the world. And I always remember that, one of my counselors telling me that. You become educated in many other forms, right? You learn a little bit of history. You learn, so now you know you're well-rounded on history and conversations about history, the context, and you can relate it to the present. You become a student of, you know, anthropology. So now you know about how we evolved and how we survived to be the humans we are today. You know, you learn a little bit about sociology, about how social structures and how the, you know, government works, and, you know, through political science. And you're just learning a bunch of stuff that maybe in high school maybe you didn't have that opportunity, didn't have, you know, those conversations. Now at you know, college and university, you become a student of the world, right? But this is a different type of student of the world. Now, I had the opportunity to study abroad twice, while first in community college and second when I went to UCLA, right? When I was a student there. The first time I did it was at Mount Sac when I went to community college, and I lived in Barcelona, Spain. Yeah, I saw Barcelona play right there, you know, Barca game, and it was versus Madrid. So you already know I was out there. But yeah, I lived in Barcelona for 3 months, and while there, every weekend I was going to Rome, to Venice, to Florence, to Morocco, to Amsterdam, to Budapest, Hungary. I basically traveled everywhere, and I made a hashtag which was continuation nation, right? Or continuation student, international continuation student. So, you know, we were going everywhere, and just seeing that, hey, like, you know, no matter if I went to a continuation, like I could travel anywhere, because sometimes many people from our communities were trapped, right? We can't leave our communities, or we don't know the outside of our block, or we don't know the outside of our city. There's people, most from our communities, that live in their street or in their city for the rest of their life, and they never go see the next state. They never gone up to the mountains. They never gone to the beach, you know, this crazy stuff. And it's by design as well, right? Why we're locked up in our own communities and our own barrios and everything like that, right? So like for me to break that and to go study in other places and meet other students in the other world, it was super dope. And I really, really, love that. So I'm gonna talk to you about study abroad in reference to how to do that, right? So studying abroad, is many different ways. The first one is you could do it in community college, like I said, through like study abroad programs like AIFS, where it's actually cheaper to study abroad in community college than in the UC. You could also like do like you could pick what places. Usually they have like only like 4 or 3 places, like Barcelona, like Spain, Costa Rica, and I want to say London and Japan in community college. But when you transfer to the UC or Cal States, there's over like 200 places you can pick to study, and you could study in Hawaii and Guam. And as well, this is open for undocumented students, you know, who maybe not be able to leave the country. You can still study abroad, right? You can go to like Hawaii, you could study at the University of Hawaii, in Guam, in the US Virgin Islands, and Washington, DC, and do internships at like literally the capital, in Sacramento, right, which is the state's capital. And, you know, and as time is opening up, you know, advanced parole is something where you apply if you're under DACA, and you could travel outside of the country, right, with permission of like the government and stuff like that. So, you know, they pay you to go study, literally to go study, to go travel. I don't know anywhere else where they'll do that. You know, your bosses might not pay you to do that if you work at like Subway, or like if you work at, I don't know, Walmart, right? Like there's not too many places you could do that. So study abroad, get to know the world. Yeah, the world is yours.
Really?
Can we go to the next slide?
So now I'm going to talk about generational impact. And this is kind of something that I want you all to think about, really, like as you're sitting down in front of your computer, on your phone, wherever you are, kind of think of the people around you that have gone to college, the people that have tried to go to college, and kind of situate yourself around that. And so something that we want you all to think about is how the decision for you to go to college, and I speak this because this is how I felt for a long time, like I didn't belong in college. But when you make that decision, you're also gonna impact generations past you, whether that be a cousin, whether that be a friend near you, a neighbor. Someone's always looking at you, and you're going to basically impact the generations moving forward, because you're going to create a blueprint for how to do college. And sometimes being a pioneer is the hardest thing, but it's also very rewarding, because as you get older, you're going to realize that people are not going to run into the same problems that you ran into as you're learning how to navigate college. And yes, it is challenging, but that's exactly why we wanted to create this webinar, because we know that it is challenging at times, but we also know that it's rewarding. And we want to offer all of you a community where you can find support, guidance, where you can find advice, so that you create that generational impact of education.
Yeah. What you do right now, y'all, what the decisions you make in life right now will impact 7 generations ahead of you. Your children's 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 children. If you decide to go, you know, go to college today, that's going to impact 7 generations ahead of y'all. If you decide to go to prison today, that's going to affect 7 generations of y'all. So, you know, that's how powerful that is, y'all. That's how powerful it is. So let's go. Let's get the next slide. So right now I'm about to speak to you about the economic impact of y'all going to college. Did you know people that have a high school degree, that have less than a high school degree, a year they make less or about $30,000 a year, right? If they have a high school diploma, sorry, they have a high school diploma, they get $38,000 a year. If they have some college, right, but no degree, they get $43,000 a year. If you have an associate's degree, right, it's probably that you'll get $46,000 a year. And as you basically go up in your education, right, you make more money. So by y'all getting that degree, you're securing the bag too. Maybe some of us, this may be this is how we understand it, right, in our communities. Because if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. It don't make sense, right? But I also wanted to speak on this point because it's so important that we build up this money for our families, generational wealth, right? That we you know, build up the income in our communities, that we, you know, put money back in South Central and La Puente and all these different places. And we do that by us going to college and going to school and helping our moms and our parents, right, that have been struggling through college. And definitely that's been a big impact for me, right? When I got my financial aid check, first thing I did was give my mom a couple hundreds, right? I split my check with her, you know, and trying to pay rent, trying to help her out. So that's a big part. Next slide. So now we're gonna go into our UCLA counter stories, right? That we have right now. Counter stories are something that basically the narrative, right, or the counter narratives, also called counter narratives, right? The narrative for continuation students sometimes may be that we're gonna, you know, if they're young women, right, that they're gonna get pregnant and they're not gonna do anything with their life. Or the narrative might be that we're all cholos. Or the narrative or stereotype might be that we're all lazy. Or the stereotype might be, you know, all these narratives, right? The main narratives. But what we're talking about right now is we're doing the counter narratives. We're going against that. We're going against basically the ocean, right? That's trying to push us out of schools, right? For us not to go into education, we're surfing it and we're riding those waves, right? So right now we're about to get into the counter narratives. And the first person I want to introduce and bring up is my compadre, my brother right here, Alberto Moreno. So I'm gonna highlight him real quick. I'm gonna spotlight him. Let me see real quick. Bam. Oh, they spotlighted. Hold on. Did I spotlight you already, my boy?
I don't think so.
All right.
Well, maybe. Yeah, there we go. I changed it to speaker view. Hi, everyone.
This is Alberto, and then this is gonna be funny, bro. But we got two Albertos. Right? That are gonna be you know, we got Alberto and Beto. So I'm gonna trip y'all out right now, right here. Give me one sec. I don't know how to. Oh, multi-pin. There we go. We see that yet? Y'all see Berto up here?
I think you can only spotlight pin if they have the camera on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There we go.
Berto, are you able to turn on your camera, bro?
Yeah.
All right. Let me see.
It's all good.
Let's see how we could change this. Okay. Hold on. And can y'all see two people up on the screen right now? Yes?
Yeah, you're good.
Perfect. And I'm gonna ask my friend Lupita Guadalupe de la Cruz to also join us in this, right? Yeah. All right. And my boy Pat. Okay. My boy Pat, where y'all at? Okay. All right. So right now we're gonna get into, you know, just the different stories of y'all as continuation students, as former continuation students in this path, and where y'all at, where it's began. You know, how did y'all end up in continuation school? Can y'all talk a little bit about yourselves, first of all, your names, you know, what are y'all doing right now and stuff like that? But let us know, you know, where you're at right now in your stage of being a continuation student or a former continuation student. What are y'all doing now? So I'll start with my boy Berto. I mean, I know that's hard, right?
Yeah. Thank you for having me on. I see so many, there's a lot of people here.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's cool. So I'm a little bit older, very non-traditional. I was in continuation school in the 90s. And I ended up getting my GED in prison. I was incarcerated for 14 years, from 2002 to 2016. Imagine like what you were doing then. And some of you guys probably weren't even born. So that whole time I I spent incarcerated, and I got my GED. I took college classes, and when I got out, I knew I was gonna enroll into college. I didn't really know what to do. I just knew that I wanted to be there, and I ended up majoring in art. Mainly because I do tattoos. I learned to tattoo in prison, So when I got out, I really wanted to pursue art and art history. And after enrolling in a community college, I ended up being accepted to UCLA. And I just graduated with Alejandro a couple months ago. And I'm actually starting what's called an MFA, which is a Master in Fine Arts at UC Irvine. I just started last week. Yeah, it's a quick little rundown.
Damn, thank you so much, Berto. So, you know, I brought Berto on just because he's an amazing artist. He creates art that's just so powerful, so strong, right? And when we think of normally of college, you know, we think of, you know, these people, like we said, right? We started off our event, like what is the normal, what the stereotype that people think when they're gonna study, right? They're gonna study to be a doctor, to be a, you know, to be all these, to be a lawyer and all these things, right? But college is a place where you can major in arts, you can major in sociology, you can major in ethnic studies, right? All these different things that we've been taught that, you know, like isn't studyable, but it is studyable. It's a powerful thing, right? Art moves people. A world without art is a world that I wouldn't want to live in, right? And, you know, he just started his master's, a master's at UC Irvine, right? So for all my artist people, you know, especially in continuation, sometimes maybe we were like academically, like they didn't see us as academic, but I could tell y'all from working in one and being a student there that I saw a lot of people that were really talented with arts, that were intelligent with other, you know, that were kinesthetically intelligent, right? That had emotional intelligence, that had all these different intelligence that didn't fit the type of, you know, knowledge that the institutions wanted us, right? Which was like English and science and math and all of that, right? But we're smart, we're powerful. So yeah, thank you so much, Berto. So right now I'm gonna ask
just to add something real quick,
ahead,
also because of what you mentioned earlier, like I don't gotta pay for anything. They pay for all of it. And then they gave me money to help me, I guess, because I, you know, I'm kind of broke.
Man, thank you, man. And my boy's in big art galleries too. You know, I saw him, I was seeing his art gallery right here at UCLA, like, you know, big old galleries and putting in work. So thank you, bro. So next, I'm gonna invite Guadalupe to speak a little bit about her.
Hi everyone, I'm Guadalupe. I am a former Valley View high school continuation student. The way I got there, it was literally me haciendo travesuras. So I was from doing stuff, ditching, doing stuff I shouldn't have. And I also got myself into things that were very, I'd say, deadly. By doing it in the wrong way or just doing it, you know, just doing it, you know? So I am from like that little area, and I know there's some students here that could also like, that also know what I would be talking about. I don't want to just put it out there because it's something that's really hard to talk about, but I'm talking about it in a way, in a sense. But yeah, the way I got to continuation school was ditching, doing drugs, and having a weapon on hand on campus, which is not good for any type of student at all to have. Well, yeah, I am a Mount Sac student at the moment. It's my first year. I am trying to major in mathematical arts, to either be a teacher or studying engineering, to go in that route. Well, yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Guadalupe. And I'm sorry I didn't set it up earlier, y'all. But I'm gonna ask someone else to come in real quick just because I couldn't find them earlier. But we have Michael Lopez. Are you with us real quick, brother?
Yep, I'm right here.
All right, man. I'm gonna add you right here. I'm sorry, I couldn't find you. Man, there's some crazy tormenta stuff going on right here. I'm in Koreatown, y'all, and I'm just hearing like the ground shake. So I'm sorry, y'all. What's happening right now is I wanted to create a pipeline, right? Guadalupe that just graduated out of high school, right? That just literally got out of high school, right? And started community college, right? Mount SAC, right? My boy right here, Michael, who just graduated from community college and is now at his first year at UCLA, right? My boy Berto, who just graduated UCLA and is now in his MFA program, right? In his master's in arts. And then my boy Alberto, right? Who's been in education, who's been putting in work, right? And is also in his graduate studies, but now, also helping other students and in the educational path, is one of my bosses or former bosses here at CCP. So that's kind of like the scheme of it. If y'all see the pipeline happening, right? Like different stages, us continuation students in different stages in time, but moving up no matter what happens, So I'm gonna have my boy Michael go up next, just to, I messed up the pipeline and how it was going, right? But nonetheless, y'all get the intention behind it. So go ahead, Mike. How did you land and continue, how'd you get a continuation? Just start off there and then we'll answer more questions a bit. Yeah.
So for continuation high school, the way I landed there, I was going to like regular high school, like back in Fillmore, California, which is like an hour away. But I was going there, and the first 2 years I was like doing a bunch of wrong things. Like I wasn't paying attention in class, really wasn't taking it serious. I was like ditching, like doing the dumb stuff kind of in a way, like just not paying any sort of attention, didn't really have a comfort for it. But they ended up kicking me out, and I ended up going to the continuation high school. So from there, that's when I was like, hey, look, I'm messing up. I gotta focus academically now and try to do my best. So throughout continuation high school, though, that's where it really opened my eyes, and I seen like how much of potential all the continuation high school students have. Because like compared to me in regular high school, I mean, it's understandable, but in continuation high school, I felt like a more community, like more comfort, at least in a way. So from there, that's when I started taking school more serious and wanted to go to the community college right after that. And after that, just kept my focus and got me where I'm at today. So.
Thank you, Michael. And Alberto, I'm gonna just be like Berto, and then I'm gonna be Alberto. All right, that's just from the name, bro. So go ahead, Alberto.
Sounds good. Hi everyone, my name is Alberto Moreno. Feel free to call me Beto for short. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm also a product of continuation high school. I went to Cabrillo High School here in Long Beach. I'm from the Long Beach area, if anyone's familiar with the LBC. I was there for my freshman and sophomore years, and then I was pushed out at the end of my sophomore year. And so I was sent to a continuation high school. I went there for the first week. It was still in person in class, your usual 9 to 3 p.m. But then I still didn't feel comfortable. I didn't want to be at that school. And so I sort of encouraged my parents to transition me into homeschooling. So here at Long Beach, within the Long Beach Unified School District, they have what they call Educational Partnership High School. In essence, we follow the same curriculum as any other high school within the district. It's just, you're doing it on your own. And it was a quicker way to catch up on credits. And so similar to to my colleagues, I was ditching a lot. I think I ditched almost my entire year sophomore, and that's really what kind of, had me get into continuation high school. I was also making bad decisions, so that also contributed. But I don't want to stigmatize this conversation, and I don't want it to be that it's only because we're making bad decisions. It also has to do with the communities that we grew up with, and the lack of resources in these communities, right? So it's a system issue. I just want to acknowledge that. Then I went ahead and continued in homeschooling, and then I graduated in 2009. I made it with my class. There was a possibility that I wouldn't make it, but I had a lot of support. Like Michael mentioned, I felt like there was more community through continuation high school and my homeschooling versus traditional high school. And so I had the opportunity to actually go back to traditional high school, and I was cut out with my credits, but I decided to stay. And mainly because I was getting a lot of support from my assigned professor. And then from there, I went on and went to Long Beach City College, my local hometown community college. And then thanks to CCP, so shout out to CCP, I became a scholar and then transferred to UCLA in 2015 and then graduated in 2018. And I'm currently at Loyola Marymount University pursuing a master's degree in guidance and counseling. while simultaneously preparing for the LSAT. My ultimate goal is to become an immigration lawyer, so I'm also working with that. And like Alejandro mentioned, I was part of Triple CP as a community college student. I was part of Triple CP once I transferred to UCLA. I worked there the 3 years that I was at UCLA, and now I'm back as full-time staff. You know, I strongly identify with a lot of the communities that we serve, and so yeah, I'm just really happy to be here to share my narrative. And Alejandro put it, we're here to you know, to share our stories, because they do have a lot of power in them, and we're here to destigmatize the continuation high school to college pipeline. And so yeah, thank you all for having us and sharing space with us.
Oh, thank you. So we had a question, what is CCP? So Center for Community College Partnerships is a program that helps community college students transfer, right? But we also help out high school students that just graduated high school that are trying to go into community college. We help them, right? Once they get to any community college, right? If they're in LA County, they have, you know, a little more, they have peer advisors and they have, you know, additional support, but we help out community college students, right? That's the reason why I got to UCLA, you know, through CCP, just like, you know, Alberto spoke here. So that's CCP, and that's the program is putting on this event. I worked for that program. So that's how we're putting on this event through, and we'll provide additional information at the end, right? So right now I want to ask y'all, the continuation experience, right? Was it exactly what it was, what they told you it was going to be, or was it different, you know, from what they said once you got there? And I think Michael and Alberto spoke on that, right? You know, you already spoke on that. So I wanted to ask, you know, Guadalupe and Humberto, you know, Beto, like what did you, was it what you experienced, or was it different? You know, how was the support for it? You know, was it the bad, like, you know what I'm saying?
What? Yeah, I don't know. I think I kind of went through that when they were just like, it was like early, right? In the early 90s. The way I saw it is that the continuation school was like, and I think maybe at the time I didn't realize it, but I think it was a place where they sent kids that they had given up on the school. Kids that to them had like no value. I ended up in continuation because I kept being disruptive in French class, and then the teacher put my desk outside, right, to just like making like an example of me or something. So like my desk was like outside of the class, and then she just like didn't want me around more. You know, she would just say like, "You're not in this class." I'm like, you know, and I'd be like, I think I'm in this class. You know, kind of just being like a clown. But when you're growing up like that, it's like, that's probably like one of the defense mechanisms that you use. You know, you have to turn everything funny because you don't want to start crying right there. You know, so I think like people that, especially kids that the ones that are laughing the most are probably crying the most too. But you know, it's coming out in laughs. And really, like I think that yeah, it was just kind of a place where first like the administration had given up on you, and then I think the rest of the school too, right? It becomes kind of like this other place where you're just kind of like not participating with the rest of like your friends. But that was kind of like it's kind of an early take. I don't know like the advancements they've made in continuation schools. But for the most part, you know, in my experience, it was kind of a place where I think a lot of kids, and especially a lot of children of color, were getting thrown away.
Yeah. Berto, your experience and what you speak about it, right? Like the 90s, and it literally feeling like a push out factory, right? That's when we saw a lot of students being pushed out, right? Especially, you know, with everything going on with the criminalization of Black and brown kids, right? Especially in our communities, right? And you're speaking on how back then the teachers weren't as receptive, right? And everything like that. And we're asking these questions, right? And that's a real experience. That's a real experience. That's the real stuff that we have to talk about. Continuation schools. Continuation schools remain temporarily. How many of you that are in continuation schools are in bungalows? That means it's like those temporary classrooms. Temporary classrooms, right? It's because they weren't meant to be permanent. They weren't meant to be permanent, y'all. These spaces were not meant. They were meant to warehouse, many of us, warehouse. And a scholar, you know, a really important continuation school scholar, right? Maria C. Malagon refers to continuation schools, right, as warehouse schools, where they used to warehouse a lot of students, right? I further that now, and I further that word and a term, and I call us bungalow kids, because we grew up in the bungalows, right? And pushed out, right? That's literally a definition of being pushed out. Sometimes we would like to think ourselves as kicked out, like, oh, they kicked me out, right? As if it was like our fault or whatever it may be. But what were the systems and the things that made us not want to be in class, not want to be in school? Or when we had all that trauma from, you know, from our help for our homes, broken homes, or whatever it may be, or from our communities being disvested, right? Like all of those things are systemic, right? So they pushed us out. They took us from a traditional high school and they placed us in a alternative high school, in another school, right? But regardless of all of that, we've been pushing through, and we pushed back, and we've been pushing through, and we continue to do that. And continuation students are resisting in their own forms, right? And all of y'all, that was y'all resisting a system, an education system that wasn't built for us, that when they first wrote the books, they weren't referring to us as Latinos or Latinx, or referring to us as very, you know, tough words or whatever it may be, right? So y'all are resisting in your own form. And, you know, this is a form of resistance, our educational resistance. So just to further along, just really quickly, Guadalupe, you know, was it the same as what they told you? Was continuation the same? Was it different, you know, from everything they said? That, you know, did you find it was better, more support or less support? Can you share your experience about that?
From my experience, and like throughout the 2 years that I was in continuation school, and the things that I heard about my formal school, was that the main director for punishment at my formal school was just kicking out students that she seen that kept on messing up. Like, she wouldn't even try to even mentor with them as she did 2 years prior from that. She wouldn't mentor with them. She would just simply, after 2 strikes, she would kick them out. And it's just like, and I would see so many people coming from that school to the continuation school I was going to, and I was just like, how are they so many people, you know? And I found out that that was happening, and you know, it was heartbreaking, because she was the type of director that I seen that she would actually work hard for the students. And as for the continuation school, when I was there, I had a lot of teachers that wouldn't believe in you, like, and me and other students, they would just look at their paper and be like, do this again. This isn't your words. And like, in my head, I just want to be like, what? Like, why are you saying this? Like, for me, this is like a personal experience I had. I had to do an essay for one of my Apex courses. And the teacher literally gave me back my 3-page essay that I gave her. And she made me shorten it to a literally 1 page, 1 front side page, just because she thought that I had copied and pasted everything I wrote. So she literally put me to the side. After that, we had problems, and I had started having problems with my other teachers, because they were like, oh, why are you saying she's lying? Like, everybody knows that every continuation student does not have the same academics as a regular high school student. Like, they would put that a stereotype on continuation students, saying that they're not smart enough, they're not academically trained for writing, they're not academically trained for math. Because we had a math, there was a math that was literally for elementary grade math. And you had to start from there and then continue on. Like, you wouldn't continue on from where you left off. You would have to continue on, start off from the bottom and start up, which was making it hard for some students to make their credits. And that's something that I seen at my continuation school. And it's not always that downside, because my continuation school also had a mentor for college prep, and she would help you look for jobs. She would help you make a time schedule for yourself. And that's like the upside of my continuation school, which is Valley View High School. And they would help you a lot with what's it called? Time management, your academics, with support, emotional support. They had all of that, but the downside was those teachers that didn't let you like shine. They would just put you down because automatically stereotype comes in. So I think I explained too much on just one or two topics, but yeah, that's.
How many of y'all continuation students have felt something similar to what, our panelists are saying, right? Where they might feel like, the traditional high school wasn't supporting them, continuation high school wasn't supporting them, right? Or stuff like that. Or maybe you did feel supported in your continuation school, right? I for one did feel supported. I had really good counselors, really amazing teachers, right? That went above and beyond. I did have one or two teachers, right? That really tried everything they can to kick me out too. But all these different experiences and narratives that come into play, right? When we're in these schools, right? The different experiences we have, and I appreciate we're having them. And y'all see, hey, it's crazy, huh? Because I see like the lightning strike on your screen, and then you see it on mine. Man, it's crazy out here, y'all. We're sharing our deepest thoughts and feelings, and the sky is crying with us, y'all. The lights are like, man, this is heavy. All right, let's get into a little bit lighter topic, right? In terms of, and by the way, y'all, we needed to have those conversations. If there's a lot of principals here right now. There's a lot of teachers here right now, a lot of them actually, and I appreciate y'all that showed up. But these are testimonies from former students, current students, about the experiences we had in continuation schools and what we need to build. What else do we need to have? What else needs to happen? How can we make these schools better, or what can we do to support these students, right? Like that they won't even get to a continuation in the first place. So, if some of y'all like, man, what's up with all this information? Like they're bashing. It's like, no, this is the truth. This is the real stuff. And we finally have a space to express our thoughts and feelings and reflect on our experiences as continuation students. But from there, I want to take y'all to, what were the things that helped you, right, move up in education, right? Like, what were those things that helped you get out from continuation, or, from the places that y'all were at, whether, it was, a little institution like prison, right? Or if it was a little place like working, right? You were maybe working for like 5 years, 10 years, not in school. And now you went into community college, and now you're at UCLA, and now you're all these different places. What were those things that helped you push you up, right? Was it clubs? Was it family? Was it community? Was it art? Was it activism? Was it all these different things? Who were these people? What were they? And we'll do that, and then we'll do one more question, then we have to close out, y'all. We have probably 10 more minutes, so if y'all can keep it a little brief in terms of what were those things, y'all. So anyone that wants to take it first, I'm gonna let actually Alberto Moreno take that one on real quick, just because he got the CCP background, he got the UCLA, he ready, he brought the hat out.
I had another presentation before this one with peers, so I'm still like in my little work clothes and work background. Yeah. That's a good question. I think definitely Mr. Potter, he was my assigned professor for homeschooling, and he was always advocating for me. So he was able to give me a scholarship to take 2 summer courses at my local community college after my first year there. So I had a lot of support from him, and he was encouraging me to apply to colleges. And then there was like this accreditation issue with the homeschool, so then I couldn't apply to 4 years. And then he was pushing me to still like, pursue community college, and I ended up going to Long Beach City. But even then, at Long Beach City College, I didn't have a lot of support. I do consider myself a non-traditional student. I spent 5 years there. And then I spent another 3 at UCLA. So it took me a total of 8 years to complete my bachelor's. And that's just, I'm just sharing this because I want everyone to know that there's no timeline for higher ed. And, there's no linear process and no linear journey for higher ed. So everyone has their own unique path. It doesn't matter how long it takes you, take your time. Or, everybody has a different pace. And then I remember I met with my first counselor at LBCC, and it was kind of unfortunate because it was through EOP&S, right? And that counselor, one of the first questions that a lot of counselors ask is, where do you want to transfer? What are your plans? And I mentioned to her, I want to go to UCLA. And she just gave me a smirk and laughed, right? In a very derogatory way. And so her words were literally, let's look at Long Beach State. It's a more minority friendly school, right? And that's not to say there's something wrong with Cal State Long Beach at all. Great institution. I just felt that her job as a counselor was to, prepare me to become a competitive applicant for UCLA or whatever any other institution that I wanted to apply to. Her job was not to tell me what's the best fit for me, right? She could have said, let's work on making you become more competitive, but also let's have some backup plan. Let's have a backup plan. From there, I felt very discouraged. I remember feeling very unmotivated leaving her office, and I'm getting just kind of anxious recalling that experience. And then I came across CCCP, the Center for Community College Partnerships, on my campus, and it was really through them and that I was able to, to build my social capital, to network with other people, to meet people like, all of us here who have gone through the journey and who could, help me as advisors and mentors and femtors and so forth. And, just my family, even though I'm first generation, I come from a low income background, and I'm the first to go, as they say, in higher ed. That support from my family, even though my parents are not familiar with the educational system here in the US, just their words, like, tú puedes, mijo, you can do this. Here's my car if you need transportation, just take it. Here's gas money. Those little things we tend to take it for granted, and they're very helpful in our journeys in higher ed. So truly, really, it's been my CCCP family as a student, my family at home, right? And the community culture that I have been able to build throughout the years. And so now I want to, pay it forward to everyone else that can relate.
Thank you. I'm gonna ask Michael to go next, and then Berto after, bro. Like, what were the things that helped you? I'm gonna reiterate the question. What were those things that pushed you up, right? From being a continuation student, from being system impacted, from being pushed out, being a push out, right, from the school. What pushed you back in to higher education? What were those things?
Well, for me, it was like a whole different story. Because even after continuation high school, I was going to community college the first year. I ended up like dropping out of community college too, actually, my first year. But the thing that changed my life pretty much was the military. I got recruited. That's why, back in high school. So I don't know if those it's like pretty stereotypical where recruiters usually show up at high schools and stuff like that. But that's where I ended up joining. And then after that, it kind of changed me as a person to get back into college again. And then from there on, I took it more serious and did what I had to do to get where I'm at now. So.
Right. Thank you. So now we're bringing in, those different experiences. Michael being a veteran student, right? A veteran student and navigating that resource, right? Alberto, being a non-traditional student. We're getting into these different identities, right? That we're experiencing, right? Being men of color, right? Or being whatever it may be, right? Berto and Guadalupe, can y'all also speak about that, right? Like the other identities that fall into who you are and what makes you you, as well as makes you part of being a student, right? What makes you being a student, those different identities. But as well as touch on, you know, the resources and the things that got you, you know, through. Go ahead, Bert.
For me, the resources was you with the Triple CP. You honestly helped me start thinking more about what I wanted to major in, because honestly, when you were sending me those messages, I kind of still didn't know what I wanted to do, and I still don't. But I kind of have a picture, because I usually try to go through 3 different routes and have those 3 different routes like ready for me. So like if I go through one and it doesn't work, I could go through another. And a program in Centro has helped me as well through all of this at Mount Sac. So there's a lot of resources that I had. It was you, Alejandro. It was Fabian. It was one of my teachers that I had at Valley. One of the teachers that actually helped me, because after I had that incident with that one teacher where she told me that that essay was not my writing and it wasn't something that I had made up because of the big words it had, of the like how much graphic emotion it had through words. Because I usually like to use graphic words and make my writing into something that is like emotional and something that it's imaginative as well. And that's something that she didn't grasp for me. She thought it was just something off the internet, you know? And the teacher that helped me when I had that problem, she also guided me through the classes. She also helped me look into different colleges, different things. Yeah, it was those 3 big people, which is Alejandro, Fabian, and my teacher, Miss Alice.
So a connection that Guadalupe and Alberto Moreno are speaking on is mentorship, right? Finding someone that you know is a little bit older, that supports you, that shows you the way, right? Stuff like that. So just drawing those links. Alberto?
Yeah, for me, like continuation school was just like the beginning of like these stages of being kind of pushed out. Until like eventually I got pushed out of you know, all of society when I ended up in prison. And there's a lot of things that I have to be held accountable for. You know, I was into, you know, I wasn't a good guy. But yeah, I always see prison as kind of like this parallel universe that's existing outside of what we call reality or society. But I think it was there that I really kind of like, I guess you can say I hit rock bottom. Rock bottom, like, because when I got to prison, I was still kind of like, I was still messing around. I was still messing up. I ended up going to the hole like 3 times, which is like, it's like a prison within a prison, right? Where they send all the really bad inmates. And I remember the 3rd time I went, I had already been starting to take college classes. And then there was this guy there who I knew. He's like, "Oh man, what are you doing here?" You know, he was kind of surprised. And it was this person who later on he had told me that he had 80 years in prison, so he was never going to get out, right? And he was like, it was almost as if like he had already come to terms with it, like he knew he was gonna die in prison. And one day he kind of just asked me, he's like, "Hey man, can I ask you something?" And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "What are you doing here?" You know, and I took it kind of like as an insult, you know. And I'm like, "What do you mean? What am I doing here? You know, handling my business, you know." Yeah, I was still training. I was still like a little gangster. He's like, you're getting out, right? I was like, yeah, I get out like in 12 years. He's like, yo, I get out in 80 years, and my cellmate, he got life, and the other two guys over there, one of them has a double life sentence. The other guy got struck out. Like you're not fitting in right here, you know. And then he goes, besides, I know you. You're the college tutor. I guess I had developed like this, like kind of like this identity in the prison yard that, you know, I would help people with like their essays or their math, because, you know, a lot of people were taking the college courses, and I kind of became like this guy that people would kind of like ask, you know, they'd come up to me on the yard and be like, hey, homie, hey, can you help me with my English class? You know, and I'll be like, yeah, man, I can help you. So, you know, he pointed that out. He's like, I know you're not like anybody here. Like, you don't fit in right here. You know, I've seen you actually help somebody. Everyone around here is just trying to get over on each other. And that's why I say, he told me, that's why I say, like, you're not really fitting in. Like, my advice to you is to just get out and don't come back. And I really took that advice. So one of the things that I feel that is like absolutely like 100% like yours is this thing that, you know, people call your palabra, or your word, you know, your integrity, who you are as a person. In prison, that's a big thing. Especially when you come from nothing, you have nothing. That's like a very valuable thing. The problem is that I feel that we end up giving up that to people that don't deserve it. And I think after I had that conversation with them, I remember I gave myself a palabra. I was like, you know what? I'm never coming back here. And every time I would talk like that with people, they'd be like, oh, you'll be back. You'll be back for a violation or something. You'll be back. You know, it'll take you a couple of times. I was like, no, man, you're not understanding. Like, I'm never coming back here. That's my word. I gave myself that word. I don't break my word for no one, right? And I think that was like the main thing, and everything that like has led up to like going to college and now being in grad school, all kind of stems from this goal of never going back to prison. So like, I guess my advice, like for all of you, like sometimes like you don't need like an academic goal to get you there. Like my goal is just to never go back to prison. I just feel that education is the number one way to not go back to prison. But I'll just leave it.
Okay. You spoke real stuff, right? And I met Berto through the Underground Scholars Initiative, right? Which is a student club, a student organization that creates a prison to higher education pipeline, right? And also, that's straight up it, like making sure we get, you know, we don't have any more brothers going back in, that they stay out and that they get degrees, right? Because when someone when someone gets out of jail, they have a 60% chance of going back in. If they have a bachelor's degree, that drops to 6%. If they have a master's degree, it drops to 0%. And that's exactly what my boy Berto's talking about. Like, higher education is the way of like not going back in. And we see that, right? But for many generations, right, you know, schools were pushing us into the prisons, right, through lie detectors, right, or not lie detectors, I'm sorry, through, you know, those detectors, right, through dog searches, through, you know, expelling us and pushing us out, right, not really taking transformative approaches, right, to educating us, right. If we were fighting with someone, well, we fought, but why were we fighting? We were angry. Well, why are we angry? Oh, it's because, you know, I haven't ate today. Or maybe it's because, you know, like my parents I lost my house, you know, and I'm houseless. but the school didn't take that time to ask. They didn't give us mental health services. They didn't give us, they didn't give us, more counselors. We had 3 cops, but no counselors in our campus, right? You get what I'm saying? Like, it's all it was a design set thing, right? Where we got to continuation, where we got to prison, where we got to, substance abuse, because, our communities are, that's where all the drugs are at, right? And all that stuff is happening. So all these crazy things that put us in that place. To close off, y'all, I'm gonna ask y'all to give a continuation student one word of advice, right? Or something that you did, right? Something that they could do, like that they could push themselves forward and get into the system, right? Into the system of higher education. So go ahead, y'all. I'm gonna add Berto back in here. So give me 1 second. But yeah, whoever wants to go first, go ahead, y'all.
I can go first.
Go ahead.
So my advice is like, because I mean, sometimes in continuation high school, we think that we're still not good enough, but you should just like erase that thought and just like, you are good enough. Like, college is a new beginning. So once you get to community college, you're starting out nice and fresh, and if you can accomplish any task, like you can go to like the big schools, you can go to like, but it's all about putting in the work and just being together as a community with C school. Like, you guys can do it. So that's all.
That was great advice, bro. That's very important, y'all. When you start a new school, you start fresh. You don't have to be the same person you were before then. You could be a whole new, you could have new friends, you could have whatever. No one knows you. Like, you could start fresh. And when you graduate from a continuation, your diploma doesn't say Santana continuation. It just says high school, so your diploma is your diploma. I appreciate that point. Who else? Rock, paper, scissors. Let's go. Go ahead.
I can. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Guadalupe.
You could go.
You sure? Yeah. Okay. Sorry, we unmuted at the same time. Similar to Michael, I just want you to know that you're not intellectually inferior. No label can define you, and just to remind you that you have a lot of power in your own stories and in your own journeys, and use that to fuel your goals, as Berto was explaining before. And ask a lot of questions. We can help you if you don't ask questions. And network a lot. Network is very important, not only now if you're finishing high school, not only in community college, not only once you transfer to university, but network all the time, because networking will also open doors in academia, in the workforce, etc.
Awesome. Go ahead. Anybody else, fam? You're going.
Like, it follows along with what Alberto and Michael said. Believe in yourself. Don't let teachers from your continuation school, counselors, principals, no administration, don't let them tell you you can't, or don't let them tell you that you're less than what your real value is. Because everyone here, everyone that joined today, and everyone that wanted to join but couldn't, you guys all have a value.
Mm-hmm.
But also remember that it's equal to everyone else's. So that's all it
was. That just leaves me right.
Go ahead, brother.
Just to come back to the whole palabra thing, it's yours to like give, right? Nobody can take it from you. Only you can break it. The exact same thing can be applied to your education. Once you have that, they can't like say like, hey, I want the education back. It's 100% yours. It's something that nobody can take from you, and something that you earned. And that's important, right? It's valuable. And if you decide to go to a community college, I would say, don't get off of that campus. Live there. One of the things that I realized is that I knew what what would happen if I got off of that campus. I already knew all of the roads that go off of that campus, and I already knew where all of them would end. What I didn't know is how far I would go if I stayed in that campus. Try to get a job there. Maybe right now it may seem like a something that it may seem a little complex, but like get involved in clubs. You know, find your tribe. They're there. They're always there. But yeah, stay on that campus. I ended up getting a job there. I ended up I never like got off it. You can go to the gym there. You get a free gym membership if you sign up for a class. Like you know, it's all kind of like there for you to take advantage.
Man, all of y'all drop knowledge, drop gems, drop powerful stuff, and I want everyone to give them a big round of applause, just because that was a powerful panel, man. That's one of the sickest panels I've ever seen, I've ever been part of, you know, like facilitated just powerful stories. And like I said, y'all, like they tried pushing us out, but we pushed back, and we pushed very, very hard, and we keep pushing every single day. And, you know, I look up to all of y'all. I look up to every single one of y'all, you know, in your paths, and now as like in my own path, right? Whether I'm looking up at, you know, at both Bertos, right? that are now like in their masters, because that's definitely something I want to do, you know, go up in higher education, or whether it's, you know, Michael that just started UCLA, and like I admire his like his journey that he's about to start, right? Like as UCLA, and now, you know, gonna mentor him and take him on, you know, to help him out, make sure he finishes through. Or Guadalupe that barely got to barely graduated continuation, is now at Mount Sac in her first semester. Like the strength you've had for your story, like all of y'all are amazing role models, and all of y'all put in work in your community. I know that for sure. Like you've never been like, oh, I keep moving forward and I'm not gonna look back. That's what it's about. When one of us makes it, we extend the hand, and then we all push each other back, right? We all help each other off that cliff, right? Because there's forces trying to push us off a cliff, but we're basically making sure no one falls out. And that's what all of you have done and demonstrated through this panel, for coming back and taking the time to talk to us, you know, to continuation students, to you know, to principals, to counselors, and be real. This is real stuff. So we just thank y'all very much for that, and we say much love. And everybody, if y'all want to drop your information, you know, I don't know, like your emails, your contact information, whatever you want to share, whatever you feel you want to share, you know, your emails, if people want to reach out to them and get in contact with them, you know, for projects or whatever it may be, or seek support, you know, these are all amazing people right here that we have. We have a super group. We have like the Avengers, you know, but like continuation Avengers, you know, that are just taking names, bro, like straight up beating Thanos and all that, you know. So man, thank you very much, everyone. And that concludes our panel, right, which is counter narratives from continuation high schools. And what's up next, y'all? What's up next is our resources. We're going to talk about the resources available for continuation students, right, in the community college system, but as well as the UC system. So I'm gonna take my family out, say thank y'all very much. Peace, family. Y'all the best. Y'all could still stick around if y'all are able to, because you can, if they're still able to stick around, you might be able to talk with them at the end, because we have a part where you get to connect with UCLA students, with us, many of the panelists, right? Former continuation students, now UCLA students, and talk to us in our unity in the community, which is gonna happen in like about like 10 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes, y'all. If they want to stick around, the panelists, if you want to stick around, if y'all can't, it's all good. Y'all, you know, put in a lot of work today, but we have our unity in the community, which is going to be our closing way, where we're going to put people into breakout rooms and you get to talk to students. And we also have our raffles, so do not leave. Right now, up next is our presentation. Can I have someone share the slides? I'm sorry, y'all.
I got it.
Thank you so much.
I can do it. Just make me a co-host.
I got you, bro. Got you. Once again, right now we're about to present on the resources for continuation students in the community college level. Many of you may be like, all right, like I want to go to, you know, perfect. All right, perfect, bro. I was trying to find you. All right. You know, resources available right here in the CC system. So I'm gonna go ahead and go at this really quickly. Make this real quick. Take out your notes because we're about to go really strong on these resources, y'all. So how many of you know today our panelists spoke about all these things that, you know, they let you, they have a gym at colleges, right? How many of y'all know that you get free food when you go to UCLA, when you go to these universities, right? You pay for it, but it's also free because, you know, it's part of your financial aid. But when you go to college, you get some free food. They have food pantries that you could get free, you know, meals for you, your family. I used to get free turkeys and you know, everything, jamon and man, everything you name it, eggs and all that stuff from my campus, right? So we get free food. Also, many of you continuation students may want to be like, maybe want to leave your house already. Maybe, you know, house is a tough spot to be. You can't wait to leave the house. But many of you are, you know, feeling like, whoa, I need to work in order to move out. Well, when you go to college, that's one way you can move out the house, right? You literally live on campus in the dorms, and the dorms are beautiful. They're amazing. You also get health insurance, free health insurance, right? Campus that your tuition pays for, right? Get health insurance where you see quality doctors and all that. Even dentistry, right? Like at UCLA, I did all my teeth right there and everything like that. We have some things called Summer Bridge, which I'll talk about in a little bit. If you have programs like EOPS, they pay for your books, right? Which is a really, really dope program. Library, right? A library is a really important resource where you have access to free knowledge, books, and all that. And textbook and technological renting, right? You could rent books, you know, your class textbooks at your community colleges, at the university. You could get PDFs, you can get like online versions and all that type of stuff. So that's a really cool thing to have. You go to the next slide. So now we're gonna play cap or no cap, all right? Things my parents and teachers told you about school, okay? So we're gonna do it like this, y'all. Everyone has access to their little emojis and stuff like that. Some of you may have like the X or the little green checks. Can someone test that out right now? Right, can y'all show what I mean, right? On your reactions, there's little emojis, right? But there's a green one or a red one, right? So right now we're gonna ask y'all if it's cap or not cap, right? Things your teachers or parents told you about school. Y'all ready? All right. So is it true or false that yeah, you could also write in the chat. Thank you so much, Paula. Is this true or false? If you change, you have to change who you are when you go to college. You have to change how you dress, how you talk, how you act. You can't be the same person. Yes or no? Cap or no cap? Cap. Say cap. 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 This is cap. Exactly, y'all. You could be who you are. Look at me. I'm dressed. I got my baseball hat on. Like, I don't have to put on a sweater and a nice tie. And matter of fact, my name's Alejandro now. I you know, like, I don't have to change who I am. This is who I am. This is who I am. This is what made me get here to UCLA. I'm not gonna change, you know, who I am. That's cap, y'all. So that's cap. That's false. Another one is community college does not have the same quality education as four-year colleges. Is that cap or no cap? Cap, right? For those that are like, what's cap mean? Cap means it's not true, it's false, right? Those that are older. Fat cap, exactly. In community colleges, you actually have way better quality because you have smaller classrooms. You could talk to your teacher compared to, like, you know, sometimes bigger universities where you might never be able to talk to them because you're student number 300, right? But in community college, there's classes of like 20 or 30 and stuff like that. All right. So cap or no cap? Your professors will be really strict and will not be open to talking to you outside of your class. Cap or no cap about college? Cap, y'all. Your professors will be Your professors will not be strict. Some of them are strict. That's like cap and not cap. I'm gonna tell y'all that actually. But some professors will be strict. Some professors won't want to talk to you, but many of them will actually be really friendly, will want to mentor you, right? Want to help you make sure you transfer. I had a lot of really good professors that helped me, you know, when it was time to apply for my colleges, I was able to you know, get some help from them, look at my application, and they helped me out a lot. So that's cap, all right? And then the last one, when you go to college, you will have to pay everything out of your pocket. Everything, you have to pay every single dollar. Is that cap or no cap? Cap or no cap? Can someone tell me why that's cap? Can someone tell me why that's cap? If you could turn on your chat. Financial aid and waivers and scholarships and work study. We talked about that in the beginning. That's all free money, y'all. California promise, yeah, California College Promise, where you first 2 years you get paid. Your first 2 years in college is paid for, right? First 2 years, community college is paid for because of the California Promise Grant. Correct, Cal Grant, exactly. Perfect. All right, let's go on to the next slide. That was cap or no cap. Spill the tea about college. Next one, y'all. We can go to the next slide. Do you have to attend a certain number of credits or class? Yes, Helen, that's a great question. You have to be a full-time student in order to get the California Promise Plus. Full-time students means you have to go to at least 4 classes, right? 4 classes, 3 classes, 12 units, right? That's full-time. Very good question, Helen. Thank you so much for asking that.
No less.
Yes. You had a question, Martha? Oh, okay. Next slide, please. All right. Now we're going to talk about the community college resources, right? Community college to university campus resources that you know, that will make you successful. So let's go on to the next slide. So one thing that we really want to highlight right here, right now, is a bridge program. That's super important for continuation students to basically make it to, you know, to have a smooth transition into college, right? A summer bridge program is so important, right? Or a puente program, also known as puente programs. So for my continuation students out there, whatever community college you're thinking of going to, you want to make sure you focus on summer bridge. Paola, if you're still here with me, could you help me in the summer bridge? Talking a little bit about summer bridge.
Hi, everyone. Yes, so I would love to talk about Summer Bridge because I love Summer Bridge. So at my community college, Mount SAC, there is this summer program, and you're in this program with other students who also graduated from high school or continuation. And basically you have like a cohort and your teacher is a counselor. So they actually like tell you like resources and like strategies to be successful at your 2 years or 3 years. And a really cool thing about it is that during the summer program, they also have a lot of fun activities where you get to know like your classmates. I had mentioned earlier that when I attended Mount SAC, I didn't know anyone who went from my high school, and everybody was a stranger on the first day, but I can say that on the last day of Summer Bridge, it felt like a family. And that's on no cap, like everybody was so close. And also after, they give you the opportunity that after you finish Summer Bridge, you can continue with the Bridge program and you go into cohorts and different courses where like you're still taking a college course that helps you, like I said, but also you can either take English or math. And a really cool thing about it is that those 2 classes are linked together. So the students who are in your counseling class are also in the math and English. So that really comes in handy when you're trying to, you know, form study groups and have that support system. And also they give you the book for free. Like, well, you have it during the semester and then you return it. Another cool thing about my Bridge program is that they provided like a a space where you can go and study. You have access to laptops, free printing that really came in handy. And also the amazing counselors that are available for you. Sometimes it's really hard to make a connection with the counselor, or maybe you make a appointment, you want an appointment for one day, but since there's so many students, it takes like up to 2 or 3 weeks. But those counselors are specifically for the bridge students. So you could make an appointment that same day, and maybe the next day you already meet with someone. So there's always someone there to help you, from like the staff to the professors. And also a really great thing about bridge is that after you're like done being like a student, there's also opportunities for you to work at those programs as well. I went from being a summer bridge student to being a peer advisor for the program. And that's something I didn't talk about, but you also get a peer advisor. So they're there helping you along the way. They check up on you, and they're there for you. Like if you have any questions, and my peer advisor really helped me out during the summer, and I never felt alone because of her. So it's a really great program. And then I think Alejandro is going to talk more about after you complete, community college, there's still something else like a summer bridge program at the UC level.
Yes, but before I talk about that, we have Annabelle Perez, who I don't want to put on the spot, but I just put on the spot, but she is the summer bridge, counselor for Mount SAC, which is the program that Paola did and I did, and that got me into college. Oh, if you can go back real quick. I'm sorry about that, Pat. Thank you about that. Yeah, but Annabelle is here today, and I just want to acknowledge her because she's one of the reasons why I first got into Mount SAC, because she let me help. She got me into summer bridge, which was a big help for me. So I'm really happy she's here. She's like a mama. So thanks for being here. So yeah, so that's very important for continuation students, y'all. From continuation to get into a summer bridge program, whether that's at Rio Hondo, at Mount SAC, like the one that Paola and I are talking about, or if it's Chaffee College, or if it's, whatever college you're around, please make sure you ask your counselor at your high school, or you call, or you look online, right, for a summer bridge or a bridge program or a puente program, right? Sometimes it's in Spanish. When it's in Spanish, it's because, it has like classes that are surrounded around like Latino literature and have a lot of really amazing support, right? But it's open to everybody, not just Latinos, but yeah, it might be called puente or something like that. In the UC, right, specifically at UCLA, we have something, puente, 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 which is like a Spanish version of bridge, right? Like bridge is like, translate in Spanish to puente, right? Yeah. No, it's okay. No, it's, I just want to make sure I cleared that up, right? Just because I want to make sure people know that resource. So puente, or it might be called summer bridge, right? Or bridge. So in the UC level, we also have like summer transitional programs. The one that we have here at UCLA is called the Transfer Summer Program, and they provide free campus housing the first quarter at UCLA. And it's so important for us as well, right? Peer learning facilitators, which are like tutors, but it's a little bit different because they coordinate like classes and stuff like that, like a mini class with other students, and you're kind of learning from each other. They also offer college counseling, introduction to research, because when you go to the universities like UCLA or UCs, we have an emphasis on research, which means like we're making new knowledge, we're producing new knowledge, new studies and stuff like that. We also offer peer counseling, which is like counseling, but it's students are the ones doing it, right? But they've been trained on like how to provide information about what classes you should take. And it's also, you take your first semester or quarter through this program, like the TSP, just like Summer Bridge, right? They offer like your first summer classes, and it has, these are the classes that they offer at UCLA: chemistry, Chicano studies, exploring ethnic Los Angeles, community psychology, Afro-American studies, African-American history, English, LA literature, Los Angeles literature, right? So really cool courses, very important topics. And what we're highlighting right now is a very important resource for first generation, low income, students of color, and other marginalized groups, because these programs have been set up, right, where they, instead of you buying books, they give you the books, right? Or if you don't maybe have money to pay a tutor, they're going to help you with tutors. Or sometimes they talk about culture and identity and a lot of really important things. So this is a really good reference for first generation, low income, students. And one that's not up here that we wanted to mention is called EOPS, right? EOP is a program, like for those populations, first generation, low income, marginalized students, right? And it provides free tutoring as well as priority registration, which is really important because you'll be the first one in the whole school to get classes. So you get the best professors, the best teachers, right? All of that type of stuff. So EOPS could be found in the community college system. Almost every community college has an office, an EOP office or something like it. In the UC or in the Cal States, it's called EOP, right? EOP offices, just not the S, right? So EOP, and they provide, like I said, tutoring, priority registration, and free stuff, workshops, as well as, free applications, because when you're going to apply to transfer, you have to pay for the application. But if you make a certain amount of money, if you're low income, like I said earlier, being poor finally pays off, you get it paid for free, right? A free waiver, all that stuff. So EOPS is very important. Next slide, please. The next thing we want to talk about is resources for undocumented students. So the DREAM program, there's programs called, spaces for undocumented students, and many of the resources that they offer are counseling, assistance with your California DREAM Act, right? If you're undocumented, you would not fill out a FAFSA, a free application for federal student aid. You would fill out a California DREAM Act, okay? Which is, a different type of application, but they would assist you with it. Financial aid, info, resources, and assistance. Some offer free legal services, right? For immigration, if you need like, a paralegal or a lawyer, and book loans. In the four-year universities, they offer many of these things as well, like counseling, DREAM Act, assistance, but they also have student groups that work on informing people about resources for undocumented students, like the AB 540 project, or Ideas, which is a club on campus, right? Ideas is like an undocumented student group, student organization. They also offer research opportunities in the four-year, right, for undocumented students, because for many times undocumented students couldn't access, research opportunities, but and UCLA and other UCs they can. So yeah, these are some resources for undocumented students. And yeah, next slide, please. I'm running out of time. I'm sorry, y'all. These are resources for formerly incarcerated or system impacted students. System impacted means that you directly were were incarcerated or in probation, or were in any part of the system, right? The criminal injustice system. So I'm sorry, y'all. The criminal injustice system. And that's what system impacted means, right? So formerly incarcerated is that. So in the community college, they have the Rising Scholars Network, which is like a network that helps you get connected to clubs on campus, or getting you into programs like that I mentioned, like Bridge or EOPS, or getting you scholarships, making sure you have someone that you can check in with at your college. Almost every community college, which is, we have over 130 colleges, has someone like that, someone from the Rising Scholar, or has someone that is the liaison for formerly incarcerated and system impacted. They also have a website, right, which I'll attach in a bit. Aside from that, CC's resources also have, also have student clubs like Transitioning Minds, which is like the clubs or the program for formerly incarcerated students. They also have programs like CORE, which is available at PCC, that offers, tutoring, counseling, priority registration, and a lot of really good assistance. And at CC, we also have our own program for formerly incarcerated and system impacted, which is the 5-site cohort, right? In the UC, we offer, Underground Scholars, which is a student club that, where I met Berto, which is a student, that's really the place that pushed for formerly incarcerated students to have spaces on campus, to have resources, visibility, and access, right? From that, we also have like Bruin Underground Scholars, which is a program. Underground Scholars is the club, Bruin Underground Scholars is the program, right? Ready is another student organization. At UCLA, we have the Prison Education Program project, right? Which is a program that allows you to take classes inside of a juvenile hall, co-teach with students, right? I was part of that program. Berto also did that program, right, where we go back into the facilities and we take classes with the students. We also, you know, it's a real UCLA class, and you know, it's a powerful experience. The students in there have a lot of knowledge, have a lot of wealth, you know, to offer. So, you know, that's a class that we offer here, and they get college credit. They get, you know, working towards their associate's degree or their bachelor's degree when they're taking those classes. And we have the $1 Million Hoods Research Program, which is a research program that maps the cost, the fiscal cost, also well as human cost of incarceration in LA. Many of our communities are divested, are under-resourced, but the resources are going to police, are going to, you know, are going into resources like, you know, that basically, you know, lock up our people. So this project maps that and also provides alternatives, right, on how to invest that money in education instead of incarceration, right? So that's resources for formerly incarcerated, system impacted. Next slide. Can we get the next slide, please? I don't know, Paola, if you're able to read this slide, if you're able to support me with this slide, or Pat, I'm sorry, Pat, just because Paola went already for research.
Yeah. So this one is for anyone from the community that is Black, African-American, whether that is at the CC, going into the four-year university. There's various programs such as Emoja or Aspire. I know that at my community college, it was Emoja. And some of the things that they offer is writing support, faculty support, culture conscience workshops, academic counseling, learning communities. They help increase the academic success, the retention, the degree completion, and transfer rates. And the cool thing about it is that they have a very good network of transitioning from CC onto the four-year, where Moja still exists. At UCLA, they have the Black Bruin Resource Center, African-American Studies, the departments. There's a lot of opportunities within that. The African Black Student Union, and then the Greek Life. And so for a lot of students that participate in some of these programs at community college, the transition into the four-year, I'm not saying that it's easy, but there's definitely like a good bridge that's been created. And so this is definitely something that students sometimes are not aware of when they're at the CC, or even as they're thinking about joining community college. And so it's something that we really want to highlight, that these spaces do exist and that they offer tremendous support to a lot of students.
Thank you, Pat. Next slide. And these are resources for parenting students. I don't know if Lupita or someone else or Anthony, Willie, if you're willing to read the slide. Go ahead, Anthony.
Okay, so for parenting students in CC, we have the care/CalWork. So it's free daycare, work study, a computer, and the workshops. For parenting students in the UC, we have the Students with Dependence program. So it's low childcare, the work study, parking permits, and family housing.
That's a big one. I would really want to highlight family housing, right? When you're in the UC or Cal States, some offer, you know, where maybe you don't want to move away from home because, you know, housing might be an issue. Well, in the UCs and Cal States offer family housing, which is right next to the university. You know, it's not necessarily the dorms, right? The dorms where students, you know, like Anthony's in right now, right? That's his dorm, right? But it's more like a house, you know, where it's close to a school, where you have access to, you know, daycare and a lot of really cool stuff like that. So family housing is really important for parenting students, okay? And Care and Cal Works is tied with EOPS. So if they find the EOPS office, most likely they'll have the Care and Cal Works, which offers all of those resources and more. But it varies from college to college. Next one. And lastly, we have the resources for Chicanex and Latinx students. So, you know, in the CC, there's not too many resources, but they're building up, right? Some of them might be like Mecha, or the Chicanex Latin Mecha is like a student club on campus. That's kind of like the start of having a space for Latinos and Latino representation, just like the African Student Union or Black Student Union is it for the African American or Black population. Mecha would be that one. You know, they also, some colleges may offer Chicano Latino studies where you can take, you know, Chicano studies history, maybe for the first time in your life, right? And the first time in your life learning about your own history, right? Just because we didn't have it, you know, in that. So next I'm gonna ask Lupita to cover, you know, the Chicanex Latinx resources in the UC.
Alrighty, for the Chicanex Latinx UC, you would be having housing, Greek life, Mecha, Chicanex Latinx studies, and Spanish classes.
Right, and that's a big one, that Chicanex Latinx housing, just because maybe sometimes when we transfer to universities, we might not find the representation or the same type of community that where we come from, right? Maybe y'all grew up in East LA or La Puente, where it's, you know, 90%, 80% Latino, and you land at UCLA, where maybe it might be like 10 or 15% Latino. To people that aren't from that community or aren't identified as Latino, they wouldn't notice it. But for many of us, right, we see that cultural shift, right? That culture shock. It's called a culture shock, right? So, you know, Latino housing or culturally relevant housing, or, you know, being around people that remind you of home is definitely a big thing, and really helps you out when you're at the university, especially when you're homesick, right? And you're missing a lot of stuff. So Greek life, Mecha, you know, the housing, Spanish classes, hearing your language around definitely helps out a lot. Yeah. Okay. So that does it for this part. And we're gonna move on to our last 15 minutes. We're gonna do 15 minutes actually, y'all. And from there, we're gonna close off. This is the last part of our event, which is unity in the community. We're gonna split y'all up into little groups with current UCLA students. If I could have y'all raise your hand on the chat, please. Raise your hand on the chat. You know, if y'all have to leave, you know, UCLA students or CCP peer advisors, I saw you, Pat, you're good, bro. You know, that's the part where it's gonna be. So what we're saying, give me a second. There we go. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all see me? Cool. So for this part of our workshop, we're going to break y'all into rooms with current, you know, university students, like that. You could speak with them, create community with them, and all that type of stuff, y'all. So once again, UCLA students, if y'all are in here right now, if y'all, you know, are right here present, if you're able to stay for this part, please stay. You know, I'm seeing some of your messages. If you have to go, y'all have to go, but we want to offer this space and time for y'all to connect with students. Okay, so I'm going to put y'all into breakout rooms. Give me 1 second. And by the way, right now, we're gonna do this for 15 minutes, right? So at 5:15, we'll close it off and we'll come back to this main room and we're gonna do the raffles, okay? Whoever stayed towards the end has opportunity for the raffles. Y'all ready for some raffles? I know y'all ready for some raffles, y'all. So 15 minutes, we're gonna break y'all into groups, and there's gonna be a UCLA student and you get to ask them, you know, basically whatever you want, but they're also gonna have some guiding questions that's gonna help them in that part. All right. Give me 1 second. All right. I'm also gonna ask right now principals or counselors or teachers or administrators to stay. And I'm gonna place all of y'all, like basically you're gonna not go to your breakout room. Does that make sense? You're not gonna go to a breakout room. You're gonna stay right here with me, all right? Does that make sense? Just because we're gonna have a conversation more about how we can support continuation students and all of that. So now can I have all the UCLA students put their hands down? Put their hands down, please. Put their hands down, yeah. And I'm gonna ask all the principals, counselors, you know, teachers, staff, administration, all of that, to please raise their hand, like that I know where to place them at. So, you know, principals, administrators, professors, all those different populations, right? I'm gonna ask y'all to put your hands up. If you're a continuation student or a community college student, keep your hands down. But if you're like a principal or you're a professor or a counselor, or you work at a community college and stuff like that, put your hands up. Just like that, I know where to split you up. Okay. All right. All right. I got y'all. I'm about to break y'all out. I'm gonna stop recording for this part. I'm gonna resume. Final words from our committee.
Yeah, I want to echo everything Anthony said. And thank you, Alejandro, for inviting me to be part of this committee. It was truly amazing getting to work with you and Lupe and everyone else, and being here today and getting to hear everyone's narratives or counter narratives. It was very inspiring, and thank you so much. And then hopefully we can continue this community. We have a group meet, and I'm going to drop the link to that. And it's a group chat where we can continue, forming this community and like having this dialogue. And also like we can continue helping each other out. So I'm gonna put that in the chat real quick right now.
So thank you so much. Guadalupe, Lupita, would you like to share, any final words to our participants?
I just want to thank everyone that joined and everyone that has left, for coming and being part of this, learning more, putting your 1-2 into this. So thank you so much. There's kind of like an announcement, but as well as an invitation. I want to invite some of the attendees and other students that have been in continuation school and are now UCLA or college students. While I was doing like gathering from different high schools, one of the high schools where I went to was asking for me to do an in-person presentation, and I would like to have more people come with me. I'm gonna try to start doing it with Alejandro. I haven't told you yet, but now I'm telling you. Right now I'm just trying to get like little ideas in my head to know what exactly and how I'm gonna do this presentation, how I am gonna share the stories. And yeah, so if you guys would like to be part of that and would like to help these students like kind of push them into trying to come into college or start doing something for themselves, it'd be gladly appreciated. And yeah, have a great night, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Alejandro, for letting me be part of this. Thank you, Paola. Thank you, Pat. I don't know if he's still here. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Anyone else from the committee? Anyone else? Our speaker, Berto, I don't know if you're still here, bro. I see your dope picture, the big old tash with the big old mustache, bigoton, right there, the homie. I don't know if you're still here with us, bro, but if you are, Pedro, I see you're still here, Pedrazo. If y'all aren't here, I think we'll close that. Yeah, I think we'll close that off, y'all. I appreciate everyone staying for this wonderful event. We have a lot of work to do. Yeah.
Alejandro, how do we get the recording?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna place it on YouTube, and that's how we'll be able to have it. Everyone that filled out the exit survey and then the intro survey, I now have your emails, so I'll email you out the recording of it, as well as the links that we, like the group me to further these conversations and the resources and programs that we listed. Yes, thank you so much, Irene.
Thank you, everybody. You guys rock. This was a wonderful event. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all the dope teachers and principals that care. We heard a lot of stories today from continuation students, from good experiences and bad experiences, but definitely one of the things for me was really amazing educators, people that cared, mentors, and that's what we need as continuation students. We need love. We don't need criminalization. We need support. We need challenging leadership. We need leadership opportunities. We need a lot of stuff. So we're gonna keep building that, keep building this movement from continuation to higher education, the continuation nation. All right, everyone. Goodbye. Have a wonderful time. Have a good night.
Thank you, Sandra. It's nice seeing you.
Bye, everyone.
Well,
All right, thank you.
Have a good night.
good night, y'all.
Mike.